Hello, my name is Rivas Mayoki. I'm a sci-fi author, or more likely a romance author. I don't know. My brother told me that in English, everything that is action and has romance is considered a romance novel. I will have to look into that. He usually tends to be right about things. He's an expert, not me. I'm just writing. So I wanted to talk about the K-drama, South Korean drama, Cheese in the Trap. It was a very entertaining show for me. There will be spoilers, probably because I don't know how to divide what is spoiler and what's not. Anyway, I wanted to speak about a theory of mine, and that show really shows that theory in action. And that theory came about when I read again Harry Potter, and I became aware of the tendency that the writers that write only one perspective have, and that is to be deceived by their own characters, because when you look at the world just from one point of view, your outlook on the world is very limited. I'm familiar with that because I too, when I started writing, wrote only with one character, and it was always like I'm seeing their world through a fog. You just can't see what your character sees if you adjust your eyes to look through your character to that world. If you don't have the third view of a writer to see the whole realm that some writers do, I still don't have that. I'm still limited to the vision of my characters. That is the main way I connect to a story, is that I connect to the character and the character tells me the story. And since I'm writing for a very long time now, I developed my style of writing to, I promise I will get back to the chase in the trap. Don't, I just think this way convoluted, so you have some backstory. You can see I'm great with the backstories. Anyway, when I have more characters telling me the story, each of them tells me their version. Tells me I'm not. Who knows how crazy am I? So each character tends to tell the story from their own perspective, and when you have more characters that oppose each other, you can, as a writer, see who's lying. And who has a skewed vision of the reality, and that is usually the bad guy of the story when you find out who's lying. Anyway, I like to mystery novels, and I like to approach a story like it's a mystery novel. So in A Cheese in the Trap, I was very entertained, and Park Hae-jin's character Young Yo, I think, I don't know, I spell it terrible, don't judge me, I'm translating into from English from Korean in never mind. So I very liked his character, and it was like I identified a lot with it. It was like, oh look, it's me on the screen. It was very fun, and I didn't notice just how skewed the show was until the last episode rolled in, and because I was the one identifying with Park Hae-jin's character, who was the least understood character in the story, um, it took me a while to realize that the story isn't told from his perspective, that it's told from her perspective. His girlfriend Hong Xiao, played by Kim Go-un. And since she's the sole narrator of the story, everything, each character, everything is portrayed as she sees them. That becomes very obvious as the story comes to an end, because there is more and more of the story focusing solely on her, and we see things that she does and we follow her each step of the way, while other characters appear and disappear as she meets them. So she is our sole narrator, and every character in that story, everything that is set in it, is told how she perceives them. So when you realize a thing like that, I backtracked the series and trying to see the skewness of her perspective. Now, of course, I'm biased. Of course, I am her opposition and not in line with her side. But to me, when the story ended, I remained quite angry. And I discovered that when the story enrages me, that is the most stimulating thing for me as a writer, because it stimulates me to do something different, to show the different perspective, to switch up the things. And I didn't watch the movie they made. I just watched previews and I skipped over a little. And it seems to me that they tried in the movie to make him a really, really psycho, and to make her even more of a victim, to convince the audience that he is not the hero of the story, that she is. And when I place the dots that she is the narrator and everything is seen from her perspective, you can backtrack and see that she skews the view of other people, making them bad guys. And she often says that she is the bad guy, that she sees people ugly, and she doesn't see herself pretty, and he's the one who doesn't believe her. And I think that he's silly. Because in the hindsight, I think she's a narcissistic, the wounded narcissistic person, the person who thinks of themselves as a victim all the time. And for her vision of herself as a victim, the whole world gets skewed and everyone in it has to be worse than she is so she can end up victorious. And when you look at the story, every single character she meets ends up in conflict with her, ends up hurting her, doing something that she doesn't like, and forcing her to be rude, forcing her to stand up for herself. That's how she sees her destruction of other characters, as a self-defense. And what we are seeing is actually her destroying people around her. When a girl imitates her, I think that's probably exaggerated in her mind, just how much she was imitated. And when she destroys that woman disappears, and she has zero worry, zero interest in where did she go, did she kill herself, what happened to her. I was in that point of the story still unaware just how much the story was healed, but I was quite worried for that woman. Where did she go? And the boyfriend who is obsessed with her without any provocation, she did nothing wrong, she, poor victim, is the owner. And we see in the end that she did start his obsession, that she did approach him first, that she did offer him things, that she did want to be a hero where everybody said that he's crazy. She went and made contact and jump-started that toxic relationship from which she has no way of getting out of. And it's so disturbing to watch, because that's the horror we are used to have compassion for women who has that kind of problem. It's a horrible problem, but in a broader context of her life, it seems that everyone she meets is just a terrible person, and she just happens to be their victim. And it's just a pattern that constantly repeats itself. And I can't help but wonder, is that story just her retelling of events, that she distorted the reality to fit her own narrative? And the evidence we have that Park Hae-jin's character is a sociopath and that he did all these terrible things are just hearsay. And the whole story that he is a sociopath is created by his siblings who were hired to spy on him. So we can't rely on their narration, because they had ulterior motives to make him troubled and to make him seem vicious and in need of control. So when you examine the story like that, it becomes I sense the anxiety rising within me. It becomes hard to tell apart who is the villain and who is not in the story, because from her point of view there is no explanation from his behavior than the fact that he is a mastermind behind it all, that he's worse than anyone else, that he can't be that nice and that kind, because all his actions are kind except in those moments when we see him dark, like giving the receipt to the boy who betrayed them. And but that's too outstretched for me to believe that he is that intelligent and that he can see future, that he can with just two words make someone do stuff they don't want to, and he's the villain in the story. I don't know, the story they didn't sell me that vision of him, and I couldn't see him like that. Probably it's due my skewed perception, also because I did identify with his character. But in hindsight, what did he do so wrong? He even when we find out why Bayek Inho, his stepbrother, uh, thinks of him like that, is because he says that he sent those men to break his arm. No, it's very obvious and clear that Jung Ho Yo, Park Hae-jin's character, found out that he was spied on, and that he just gave him an information to check was he spied on, because he refused to believe it. And it turned out that Park In-ho spied on him so much that he told even that information and got himself beaten up. And that's his own fault that he snitched and that was brought upon him. How could Yang Yu predict that he will be beaten in the end? Anyway, it seemed to me that Bae King-ho and Hong Seol are really a perfect couple, because the both of them are wounded narcissists who skew reality so they won't be guilty for anything. And the most of the story, interestingly, shows their romance, shows them spending time together, shows them bonding, shows them doing romantic things, and shows her having this barely a relationship with Park Hee-jin's character. So it's so strange. She just decided that he'll be her boyfriend and didn't have anything consequential with him. Anyway, the end when he leaves is just perfect, and I think that he got away and that he will never return. That's my interpretation of the story. He found himself a good therapist who told him that he was surrounded by narcissists who tried to control and gaslight him, and that he has a normal life. Because all through the story you can see him when he's alone having emotions, having expressions, having normal reactions to his surroundings, being hurt, being sad. And that's not a face of a sociopath who is manipulative and cruel. I think that's just the way she saw him, and the version of him that she found acceptable. Like, her narration was, we're different, we should be different, and we should be allowed be different. So she does tell us that she feels like she's wrong and something is skewed with her world vision. Anyway, that's my take on Cheese in the Trap. And narcissists have their own narration and have their own romances, and that's okay. We often see narcissistic romances in movies without even recognizing them for what they are. People are different, and you don't have to be 100% healthy and mature and almighty to have a relationship and be happy. And I think that's one of the aspect of series that I find troublesome. That tendency that if even if they show us the flawed romances, that in the end there is the pressure to make characters change, to make characters mature, to make them earn love, to make them mature enough, healthy enough to have love. And Life is not like that. We don't change so easily, and in the end, we love who we love, and we try to deal with it. That's it. Anyway, it was fun watching Cheese in the Trap. I love Park Hae-jin, and even in Bad Boys, he played the character that was sociopathic, but in the end ended up to be a victim, not the perpetrator. And even there, it wasn't acknowledged that he was a victim and that he was wronged and that they accused him wrongly. Anyway, that's interesting. Park Hae-jin is a brilliant actor, and I will probably speak of his shows some more later down the road. See you on the other side. Bye!